Hi, it's Conor Svensson here, founder and CEO of Web3 Labs, and this is your Week in Blockchain on Monday, the 12th of July, 2021. The highlights this week include more on Binance's regulatory woes. Circle, the creator of the stablecoin USDC, is planning on going public. Wyoming has legally recognized its first DAO. Aave's upcoming Pro platform launch is coming soon for institutional DeFi, and over $1 billion has been spent using crypto Visa cards in the first half of 2021. Binance's regulatory woes are continuing. The latest issue that's hit them this week includes Barclays UK customers are no longer able to use debit or credit cards issued by Barclays to actually transfer funds onto the platform. The line being taken here with Barclays is that they've done this in order to help protect their customers' money, just because of some of the scams that have been running on top of the platform. It's been nearly 2 weeks since the UK's Financial Conduct Authority said that Binance Markets wasn't actually authorised to run crypto operations in the UK. However, Binance have come back and countered this news from Barclays by pointing out the fact that the advisory by the FCA in the UK doesn't actually affect services provided via their website Binance.com, which is where the exchange operates on. And so their view is that Barclays have, their response is over the top there, and they haven't really interpreted the FCA guidance properly. Binance has, however, suspended deposits from a key European payments network, in that it's not going to be accepting payments via Sepa going forward. And apparently this was caused by events beyond their control. So the Sepa is actually used for allowing people to actually move euros between different countries. And Binance has said that stopping this support will be temporary. The CEO of Binance, CZ, in all of this as well, he's been responding to the regulatory issues that have come up, saying that the compliance is a journey, and he's said that his view is it's part of what comes with the territory of having grown as fast as they can. There's only so much they can do with respect to embracing all of the regulatory guidelines and laws in different jurisdictions. And so his view there, it's not that of course they're trying to circumvent it in any way, but it's just that it takes time for them to actually build up and actually respond in the way they need to for these different jurisdictions. But of course, given how fast their growth has been, certainly seems that from the perspective of a lot of regulators, they haven't been as responsive as an organization of their size should be in this space. Circle, the creator of the USDC stablecoin, are planning to go public later this year at a $4.5 billion valuation. They're planning to do this via a merger with Concord Acquisition Corp, which is a publicly traded special purpose acquisitions company, which is led by the former CEO of Barclays Bank, Bob Diamond. This transaction will actually value Circle at $4.5 billion, and this is fresh off the back of their more recent $440 million fundraise, which was completed in May, which was actually the largest venture round that had ever been performed by a crypto startup. The intent is that they'll actually trade on the New York Stock Exchange, and again, they expect the actual transaction to close in the fourth quarter of 2021, subject to the relevant approval from shareholders of Circle and Concord. Visa have reported that more than $1 billion has been spent using crypto-linked cards in 2021. This is just going from January through to June of this year. What Visa have done is they've teamed up with a number of different exchanges and other crypto companies that enable people to pay with Visa cards at point of sale, and at that point of sale, the actual crypto on the account with the exchange or the crypto company holding the assets is then converted straight into fiat to actually make good on that transaction. So from the merchant's perspective, those people who are actually accepting these crypto payments, it's just like any other Visa transaction where they do actually get paid in fiat, but at the same time it shows that there is adoption of people actually using these cards to spend their crypto. That being said, there's still quite a big narrative, of course, around HODL in the cryptocurrency space, and a lot of people are just holding on to these assets for the long run for their broader growth potential there. So whether it continues to gain traction remains to be seen, but nonetheless, $1 billion is a pretty impressive number here. Visa have also said how they actually have 50 active partnerships, which is up from 35, which was just 4 months ago. And this is 50 crypto firms that they've actually partnered up with, where they're launching debit or credit cards. So it includes like the partnerships they have with Coinbase, Binance, Crypto.com, a number of others are getting involved here as well. Other crypto news, Grayscale have actually added significant weighting to Cardano in their large cap fund. The majority of this fund is currently invested in Bitcoin and Ether, which makes up almost 90% of it, but then now they've allocated over 4% to ADA, the token of Cardano, which shows that it makes up the majority of the remaining allocations. This clearly is a bullish message coming from Grayscale in terms of their view on the potential for Cardano. Now, Cardano isn't as far along as some of the other leading third generation platforms insofar as they haven't yet launched their smart contract development capabilities, but they're certainly on the cusp of doing that. And as a result, the number of applications being built is somewhat lower compared with some of the other third generation platforms like, say, Polkadot, for instance. But that being said, we expect this to change significantly. And with what Grayscale have done here, it obviously shows that there's an anticipation that there's going to be a lot of growth in terms of adoption of Cardano. Sotheby's, we spoke about last week, how they were selling a diamond where they'd accept crypto payments. They've managed to sell this diamond in cryptocurrency in a Hong Kong auction to an anonymous buyer, and this was for a 101.38 carat diamond, which sold for $12.3 million. They said that this was a big milestone in the adoption of cryptocurrencies, and this is the second largest pear-shaped diamond ever to appear on the public market, which came originally from the company Diacor. Crypto.com, the exchange and the crypto card payments provider, they've actually signed a deal with the UFC to become their global official fight kit partner, which basically means that the Crypto.com logo is going to be placed on a UFC apparel being worn by athletes when they fight in competitions. And so it's going to attract significant visibility to the Crypto.com brand, especially when you look at the fact that the UFC has more than 625 million people in its fan base and over 150 million social media followers. So it's certainly going to be another big push to help increase awareness of this company in the mainstream, much like we heard about FTX doing last week with their deal with Major League Baseball. The state of Wyoming, which considers themselves very crypto friendly, has approved the first legally recognized decentralized autonomous organization, or DAO, in the United States. The Crypto Fed DAO, as it's called, received notice from the Wyoming Secretary of the State's office on Tuesday, recognizing it as a legal entity. The American Crypto Fed DAO was established by a mobile banking solutions provider called mShift at the beginning of the month, and the project describes its mission as promoting a two-token economy that's immune from inflationary or deflationary influences. And interestingly, it's been built on top of the EOS blockchain, which, although is one of the larger third-generation blockchain platforms, it's certainly not as widely used as or as popular as Ethereum and some of these other ones that are up and coming, like Polkadot, Binance Smart Chain, and so on and so forth. So again, whether that we'll start to see a trend of more DAOs on ES remains to be seen. The Indian IT giant tech Mahindra is working with a blockchain startup called StaTwig for a blockchain product for tracing the global vaccine supply chains. The intent here, of course, is to provide greater transparency and prevent failures in vaccine supply, including the distribution of expired vaccines and address things like counterfeiting in the process. The two companies are going to work with a global network of vaccine researchers, governments, pharmaceutical companies, distributors, and healthcare workers in order to achieve this goal. IBM and Heifer International have announced that they're going to assist the Honduras farmers to access the global markets using the blockchain. So small coffee and cocoa farmers in Honduras are going to be able to make use of IBM's blockchain platform along with the non-profit Heifer International. The idea is that people purchasing cocoa through Heifer's Honduras Chocolate for All project will be able to trace the provenance of goods using IBM's Food Trust. IBM's Food Trust is a dedicated supply chain blockchain that IBM have created that's focused on tracking food through supply chains. And so again, it's gradually getting more and more traction for that specific purpose. Also, on a related note, that CIBC, NatWest, and National Australia Bank and Itaú Unibanco have partnered to launch Project Carbon, which is a voluntary carbon marketplace. The idea here is that it will help the bank's clients to achieve a net zero carbon goal. There's lots of commitments to make different jurisdictions reduce their carbon emissions as per the Paris Agreement, which is looking for fairly aggressive cuts by 2030. And other organisations too are talking about this goal of transitioning to net zero by 2050. And so the intent here is that these banks will work together in consortium to actually make it more accessible for people to tap into the carbon offsets markets. It's planned to be launched in August and is going to be running on a private Ethereum platform. Also, the Swiss crypto bank Signum has launched a Ethereum 2 staking service. Apparently, they claim to be the first bank to actually offer this service, and the idea is that you can stake your Ether and see a return of up to 7% annually with that. And of course, this number goes down the more people that are staking there. Didn't actually say whether the ETH can be withdrawn or not, but typically it's not possible because of once people actually stake ETH, if they're doing it without going through a third party, it's impossible to unstake it, so to speak. So certainly when people want to get those returns, they will need to be locking it up until the cut over to Ethereum's beacon chain goes live, which is expected in the first quarter of next year. EY have also announced the release of Nightfall v3, which is the latest iteration of the Nightfall protocol, which was first released in 2019. Nightfall combines zero-knowledge proofs and optimistic roll-ups to give organizations capabilities for transacting using the Ethereum mainnet behind the scenes, but without actually putting details of what those transactions are. And so this is something that EY are very keen on seeing, is greater adoption of the main public Ethereum network by enterprises, but they need to have they need to have controls over how much it will cost, and so it needs to be as efficient as possible, but also they need to be able to handle significant volumes as well, but in a secure way where the information about the transactions that are taking place is not actually visible to other participants. And so this is something that they've been working on for some time with Nightfall. They're putting it out there into the public domain because they really believe in the power of the technology, but also how important it is to share the work that they're doing in order to just help bring forward the overall adoption of the technology. The Ethereum London hard fork is now scheduled for early August. The London hard fork for Ethereum is there's a lot of talk about it because it's the one that implements EIP 1559, which is the one that will start burning some of the transaction costs that people pay to the Ethereum network in order to bring down the fees and make it fairer for people actually trying to participate in the network. We spoke previously about how some of the test networks had already been updated. And so the current anticipation now is that it'll be August the 4th that this upgrade happens. So it'll be a big piece of news for the Ethereum community when that does happen. Like I said, transaction fees should go down, but also the Ether gets burnt in the process as well. So it adds a slightly deflationary economics to the actual network there as well. The Shiden project has secured the third parachain slot on the Kusama network. So the Shiden is the sister project of the native layer 2 decentralized app hub called Astar Network, which was previously Plasm. They've won the third parachain auction for Polkadot's sister network Kusama. They managed to secure a slot with a total of almost $29 million worth of the KSM tokens for that. The Shedon platform is a smart contract platform which offers multi-chain support for both the Ethereum virtual machine and WebAssembly-based contracts, and they're planning to deliver layer 2 scaling technology as well shortly too. So again, there's continuing to be more and more traction there in terms of these parachain chain auctions establishing the Kusaman network. The blockchain infrastructure provider Alchemy has announced support for the Polygon network. We've spoken a few times about Alchemy previously, and that they've had some very successful fundraisers, and also they added support for the Optimism network for Ethereum, and now they're also adding Polygon as well. So just in recognition of the fact that there's a lot of interest and people working with the Polygon network, they're just trying to ensure that they support all of the major protocols that different teams want to actually build on top of. Gitcoin have also announced that they're going to work with Tezos on a hackathon, which has got $75,000 in prizes. This is off the back of Tezos actually integrating with the Gitcoin platform as well. And what Gitcoin, of course, do is that they provide funding and bounties for people's work for different blockchains. So seeing them starting to work with other blockchains outside of the Ethereum ecosystem is obviously a good thing for them and the model that they have there. Moving on to DeFi news, Aave, they've announced that they're planning to launch the permissioned version of their platform for institutional investors this month, which is called Aave Pro. But they're launching this in partnership with the crypto custodian and service provider Fireblocks. The intent here is that they'll support Bitcoin, Ether, Aave and USDC. And in order to participate with lending in those specific assets, your organization will have to have gone through KYC with Fireblocks in order to do this. Xerion, they've managed to raise 8.2 million in a Series A funding round, which was led by Mosaic Ventures. Xerion is a DeFi portal like Zappa that basically gives people an easy way to actually interact with these DeFi protocols that be that the actual exchanges or ones for actually doing things like yield farming and so on. And so they've seen a lot of growth around those people who are playing with and investing in the DeFi markets there. So it's just a recognition of the interest there is in the space for actually making it more straightforward for people to work with and also manage the various DeFi positions. Moving on to NFT news, the Million Doge Disco, an augmented reality game, has launched, which is a cross between Dance Party and Pokemon Go, apparently, which encourages people to film themselves dancing with animated Shiba Unos and then go treasure hunting around town in order to earn various Doge NFTs, as well as a prize from a pool of a million Doge coins too. It also comes with a proof of party mechanism, which incentivizes users to upload their footage of themselves dancing with their Doges and receive Dogecoin from community members. Decentraland, they've also announced they're going to be hosting one of Ethereum's first music festivals on the platform. So Crypto's Second Life Sim will host To The Moon, which is a music and arts festival. It's a collaboration between the NFT marketplace Known Origin, the NFT Tastemaker collective Illumino, and Bear NFT. It's going to be based at Known Origin's virtual headquarters within Decentraland and will feature performances by a number of electronic musical acts, including SNBRN, Fred Thirst, Autograph and Win and Woo. And the organisers will be promoting exclusive NFT goodies. And of course, people who attend will receive a virtual Pope, which is a proof of attendance protocol token. We spoke previously as well about Beeple's latest project, an NFT of the former Wimbledon champion Andrew Murray, has sold for $177,777. So this was on the We Knew platform that Beeple's been involved in, and they've basically turned the moment of Andy Murray's win at Wimbledon from 2013 into an NFT. The NFT sales volume, some numbers came out as well about the volumes that we'd seen sold over the first half of 2021, and that actually totaled 10,000 to 20,000 every week since March, while with buyers actually outnumbering sellers. The volumes reached 2.5 billion in the first half of 2021, which was according to a Reuters report. Going by what the non-fungible marketplace has said, and of course we report our weekly metrics on this from that platform platform too, and they've shown that the interest doesn't seem to be dying down as such, even though of course the amount that they're exchanging hands for has certainly dropped since the peak we saw a couple of months back. Also in Israel, there's been an announcement that an NFT has been created of the presidential oath, which will be given to the incoming president Isaac Herzog ahead of his inauguration. The original oath was actually signed by his father in 1983, and the idea behind the NFT, it was the emerging of the past and present, combining a historical oath with modern technology. The president-elect will look after the NFT during his time in office, and it will be kept in closed storage on a crypto hardware wallet which is obviously offline. Finally, we've seen a CryptoPunk NFT enter into a major art museum. One of the CryptoPunks was given to Miami's Institute of Contemporary Art by trustee Eduardo Barillo. Apparently it's the first NFT to enter a major art collection, and so this is CryptoPunk 5293, which will join the ICA Miami collection. That is a work that's representative of the cultural zeitgeist and will have historical significance for generations to come, apparently. So moving on to our metrics, the crypto market cap has remained somewhat stable over the last week and is still at 1.4 trillion. Assets locked in DeFi are up 4% to 55 billion. The 7-day NFT sales, we've seen just under 25 million of sales, which is up almost 14% from last week, with an average price of $1,000, which is a big increase of 41%. That's all we have for this week. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel. Links to all items discussed are available in the show notes and at our website, weekinblockchain.com. We're also hosting a weekly Clubhouse room every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. GMT if you'd like to discuss any of the items we've covered here. Thanks, and I'll see you next week.